Transport is essential for the global or any local economy. As population density increases, the demand for reliable transport between workplaces and businesses consequently rises. In many parts of the world, trains are the answer for long-distance travel. Airplanes also provide reliable long-distance transportation. While it would be ideal to invest in both trains and airplanes, countries opt to invest in one type of transportation for long-distance travel. Japan has spent roughly $400 billion to build its railway system. China also has one of the most advanced railway systems in the world. Additionally, Europe has taken the charge of investing in its railway systems. The U.S., however, has not made great efforts to invest in their high-speed railway systems. The most common method of transportation in the U.S. are cars, probably due to the fact that the U.S. has one of the most advanced highway systems in the entire world. That being said, Americans have the choice of either going by car or by plane for their long-distance travel. For most people going by car or plane, it is a matter of convenience, time, and money. In this age of modern transportation, there's another factor to consider: climate change. The consequences of climate change are not something to be taken lightly. The United Nations, countries around the world, local governments, and local communities alike have realized the importance of reducing carbon emissions. However, transportation is one of the main emitters of these emissions. It's no surprise that whether you're going by air or by land, you're contributing to our carbon footprint, one of the many buzz phases surrounding the environmental awareness movement. Well, let's face it, climate change is on the rise, and it's only a matter of time before humanity can even do something about it. Investing in trains might just be the sustainable future of transportation. Welcome to Airplanes versus Trains. How exactly did we get here? Giving historical context to the modern landscape of transportation will help develop an understanding of how to move into a more sustainable future. American lawyer and engineer John Stevens is considered to be the father of American railroads. The first railroad charter in North America was granted to Stevens in 1815. Grants to others would soon follow, and work began on the first operational railroads. As groundbreaking as the invention of the locomotive train was, a comprehensive railroad was needed to take advantage of trains. Travel overland by stagecoach took 5 or 6 months and involved crossing rugged mountains and arid deserts. A transcontinental railroad was needed. In 1869, the Transcontinental Railroad made it possible to complete a trip in 5 days. The railroad was built in 6 years almost entirely by hand, and it basically connected the east and the west coasts of America. The construction of the Transcontinental Railroad would affect every industry in America. President Eisenhower is credited with ambition to connect Americans by a highway system. He quotes, "It is to protect the vital interests of every citizen in a safe and adequate highway system." The interstate highway system would also propel and facilitate economic growth in America. The interstate connected people and places throughout the country to railroads, marine ports, and airports, overall improving economic efficiency and productivity. The big takeaway from this historical background is that funding shifted from building railroad infrastructure to creating a more comprehensive highway system in America. While railways were still being used, the focal point of long-distance transportation of people and goods became the highway system. This can also be said about airplanes today. The average American has the option of using the extensive interstate highway system to travel across the states or use commercial airlines to fly to their destinations. Trains are now considered a mode of transportation that is outdated, a relic of the past. In the financial year of 2022, the Department of Transportation had nearly $376 billion distributed among its 11 subcomponents, which is basically the available modes of transportation. However, the Federal Railroad Administration comes in fourth for the subcomponent spending. The U.S. has clearly shifted its focus away from improving railroad transportation. It's time to invest in the sustainable future of transportation. Now that the U.S. has options for long-distance travel, it is extremely worthwhile to consider the benefits of implementing a comprehensive railway infrastructure in order to reduce carbon emissions. Investing in trains does not have to be a wasted effort to reduce carbon emissions. Trains can become profitable and make long-distance travel easier for the average American. According to the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, long-distance trips originating in urban and metropolitan areas are more likely to use public transportation modes than trips originating in rural and non-metro areas. Almost 90% of long-distance trips are by personal vehicle. The transportation infrastructure in general reflects Americans' desire to own a vehicle. One of the main concerns for transportation in general is energy consumption. Gasoline is the main U.S. transportation fuel. In 2021, Americans used about 135 billion gallons of gasoline and about 0.18 billions of gallons of finished aviation gasoline. Gasoline is a toxic and highly flammable liquid. The vapors given off when gasoline evaporates and the substances produced when gasoline is burned are carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and unburned hydrocarbons, all contributing to air pollution and climate change. Although it is essentially impossible to curb gasoline use because it's an important energy source, there can be other alternatives to using gasoline. In 2020 alone, the total U.S. CO2 emissions from aviation and motor gasoline combustion were about 979 million metric tons, or about 21% of the total U.S. energy-related CO2 emissions. There must be another option. We have explored the problems with modern transportation in the U.S. and its history, so why trains? In short, modernizing trains and the railway system of the United States is the sustainable future of long-distance transportation. Japan has achieved great success in modernizing its railway system, and they have reached great milestone in reducing CO2 emissions. An airplane can carry 175 passengers, while the bullet train can carry up to 1,300 people, making it a much more efficient form of travel. According to Planet Home, it's more efficient to rely on bullet train usage since it uses 88% less energy and produces 92% fewer carbon emissions per seat. Implementing a high-speed railway within the U.S. will provide Americans with more ways to travel. The environmental, energy, and economic challenges of this century and centuries to come will be defined by the active choices that are made both collectively and individually. Economic challenges for the success of high-speed railways are determined by the investment potential in the railway industry. Every $1 billion generated by investments can create up to 24,000 jobs. Every $1 invested creates $4 in economic activity. Essentially, the more investment that high-speed railways receive, the more potential investors and economic benefits. In terms of population, the U.S. is projected to grow by another 100 million people in the next 40 years, resulting in more congested traffic and airports. Well, the busiest high-speed railway system in service in the world actually carries more than 420,000 passengers on a typical weekday. That being said, it does very well in adjusting to meet transportation demands for high population density. The benefits of modernizing rail lines are clear, and why hasn't American government or private sectors invested in trains? In fact, the efforts to electrify the American railway have received pushback from critics and not have received much support from the federal and local governments. Amtrak, a railroad passenger company, is spending $7.3 billion to reshape the future of railway travel over the next 50 years. In the coming decades, they plan to invest in innovative equipment, protect rail infrastructure from the elements, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and expand access to new communities. U.S. Transportation awarded $2.4 billion for high-speed rail projects. States such as California received more than $901 million, including $750 million for the construction of a new high-speed rail line in the Central Valley. Florida received $800 million for the Tampa to Orlando high-speed rail. Furthermore, Michigan received $161 million for a high-speed rail connecting Detroit to Chicago, the two largest cities in the Midwest. In short, there are ways to support the construction of high-speed railways. The electrification of the United States railways would reduce the use of petroleum, reduce congestion on roads, and create more jobs. Ultimately, it is up to the people to voice their concerns to their state governments to create these changes. High-speed rails are the future, and as you've learned, it is not too late to invest in sustainable long-distance transportation. This has been Airplanes versus Trains. Thank you for watching.